Hi there, it's your second favorite DP right here, okay? No, that's Deadpool, you silly little Hufflepuff. Anyways, I'm gonna need you to shut up that pretty little mouth of yours and pay attention because the show's about to start, alright? And, I don't know about you, but I know who's my vote for sexiest ex-soldier turned pop culture show host. Alright, enough foreplay, let's get on with the show.
Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Hey everybody, welcome one and all. Today is March 14, 2023. This is episode 126 of Pop Culture Warrior. It's the show where I stay up to date on all the ins and outs of what's happening in pop culture so you don't have to. I am CQ. I'm your Pop Culture Warrior. And joining me tonight is returning super special guest co-host. He is usually the man behind the social media scenes here at WTF Nation Radio, but tonight he's the man behind the bubble. Everybody give it up for Mr. Nemo. What's up, buddy?
What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing?
How you doing, brother?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Just
excited. Excited to have
enjoying,
you on, man.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here, dude. I love coming on and chatting and hanging out with everybody. It's always funny being behind the curtain. You know, you got to peek out every once in a while, see how everybody's doing.
Gotta let the plebes know what's up, man. You gotta let the people see you. See that gorgeous face you got. In case you haven't, do not adjust your screens. The background here is slightly different today. We're giving showing our love, showing our support, showing the Karate Kid Cobra Kai colors. Why? Why do you ask? Because we got a super special guest joining us tonight. He is Sean Kanan. He started his career doing Karate Kid 3 as the antagonist Mike Barnes, going up against Ralph Macchio's. Jesus Christ, I just forgot it. I completely spaced. LaRusso. Daniel LaRusso. And recently came back for the series Cobra Kai in the 5th season. And not to mention, I mean, he's done a bajillion other things and is super accomplished and is a Emmy-nominated actor. He's a writer. He's a producer. He's a show creator of an Emmy Award-winning show. So, yeah, kind of a big deal. What a gracious guy to come on tonight and hang out with us. He's going to talk all the things Karate Kid and more. Very, very excited for that. Oh, my God.
That's pretty awesome.
Cobra Kai, never die. That's right. There you go. Already in the chat. Sweep the leg, says Kaz. That's right. That's right. We're gonna sweep the leg of this interview tonight.
Yes.
And we're going to say never die. But, all right. With that, real quick, hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I see you there, Pete. I see you there, Kaz. Angry Elf is in the house. Heath, what's going on, guys? Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here. And if you're watching, say hi. Let us know. I don't see you unless you say something. So, you can be the weird creeper that's just kind of, side-eyeing us from, the background. But if you don't mind, say hi. Say hi. Just throw us a hey, just so I can hey you back. And then I don't know if you saw earlier in the intro banner, but if you go to pcwgear.com, there might be some things there worth checking out. Just saying.
Some pretty cool merch.
pcwgear.com. Just throwing that out there. Hey Gary, how you doing, bud? So what else? Man, dude, Dude, Scott lurking in the shadows. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, Scott. There's so much to cover. So much to cover. And we don't have nearly enough time. So let's dive straight into it. The first thing I want to talk to you, Mr. Nemo, and you, the audience, is the season finale of The Last of Us. Wow. Wow. First, did you play the game? Did you play the game?
I don't own a PlayStation. I know. Don't judge.
It's okay.
I grew up on PlayStation, but I didn't stick with it over the years. I've watched playthroughs. I've watched cinematics. I've watched all about the story long before the show came out
Yeah.
because I knew how good it was as a story and like how amazing it was acted and portrayed. So no, but kind of.
Yeah.
You know?
So you've seen the game, you've experienced the game, you've experienced the story beforehand.
Yeah.
Totally. Your thoughts in how well did they nail that finale? Both from the comparing it to the game, but also in and of itself as far as the series finale or the season finale.
I mean, honestly, I liked it. Because I take all shows with a grain of salt because I know they're going to change some things. I know they're going to keep some things. I love how they incorporated the original voice actress. I love her, by the way. She's so awesome. And Troy Baker. That was cool. I think he was in the last episode.
Yeah.
I like what they changed. I like what they kept. I feel like this can exist on its own separate from the game without hurting the story. Because, look at the season from start to now and look at how authentic it felt, how close to the source material, how many things they did keep. And the changes worked. The changes were good. They didn't hurt the story. I think they nailed it. I think they stuck the landing. They did not disappoint because it's so easy to get you going throughout the season and then fail in the final episode. And I think they did a pretty good job of keeping it to where I didn't feel like whoa,
Yeah.
Overall, I'm here for season 2 without a doubt.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it was a tough tightrope to walk because realistically, I think they captured all the heart of the series of the game,
absolutely.
and captured all the kind of cinematic major moments and the big plot lines and whatnot. But you got to remember, the game is meant to be experienced via you, right? And it's a game, so the majority of the time it's fighting raiders and fighting clickers and fighting the infected and sneaking, and it's like you have to remove all that from a show because it can't just be every episode of like run from this clicker, run from that clicker, run from this clicker. They had to very strategically place those moments. And when you look at the show in length, there's only maybe 3 moments where they really fight infected, like 3-4 pivotal moments.
Well, the way I like to explain it to people is video games, the way they're designed is you have chunks of action with story to break it up and give you a breather.
Mm-hmm.
In the show, it's the opposite, where they give you the story and the action is the break in between and the breather.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really how you got to see it. And as long as they stick to at least where the story doesn't feel foreign, I think you can overlook the difference in switching the roles of those 2 portions of the between the game and the show. And then you go to other shows where they completely did the opposite and they completely failed at both, which was like, in my opinion, I like the show Halo. Halo is all action, almost the entirety of the thing. And then, you have the little bits of story to really break it up and flesh it out. And then in the show, it's like they tried to give you action as much as they could. And the story didn't really mesh because they changed so much.
Yeah. It's funny, as you're talking about that, we had Angry Elf in on the YouTube chat, as well as Scott in the Facebook chat, all said, basically, too bad Halo couldn't stick it as well as The Last of Us. So great minds think alike, guys. You're right on the board.
We're here, guys. We're here.
And go ahead.
Yeah. So Halo's a prime example of how you fail. And it's funny because if you look at
Is it
from
fail
left to
though?
right,
Sorry, not to say. Is it fail or is it how you don't live up to the expectation? Because there are shows that fail. There are
right,
shows that
right.
absolutely
So
fail.
I wouldn't say it failed. What I would say is look at the ratings
Mhm.
and the demographics for The Last of Us, where the first 5 episodes, you jumped over 4 million from the
Mhm.
first episode to the fifth episode. It dipped on the sixth, seventh, and the eighth, but even by the eighth, we were still more than double the first episode.
So I have the
So
actual numbers
that,
here. So check this out.
yeah.
Episode 9, the premiere drew an 8.2 million viewers,
Mhm.
which marked a 3.5 million increase over episode 1, which is
Yep.
just nearly double. And then they said, like, obviously every week it grew up
Yeah.
until like the last three, where it dipped ever
It
so
just dipped.
slightly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Slightly.
And you can chalk that up to the Oscars, to different events and stuff like that. It hit a peak at episode 5 where it was up to 11 million. 11 million, and they were more than halfway through the season. Whereas Halo couldn't reach even the first episode of The Last of Us by the end of the season. So that's what I would consider failure. They were good in that they got some decent ratings, but they could have reached 11 million, 8 million midway by the end. You know what I mean? They could have if they'd have done a little bit of a better job, honestly. And I'd love to see the opinion of everybody in the chat. After watching Halo, I think it would have been better if we watched The Fall of Reach as a TV show and have it completely disassociated from the Spartans and use that as a way to walk into, because that story is better than the story they gave us. And
Mhm.
I know where they're trying to go. I know what they're trying to do. And I know they're trying to build a universe, but they failed from the first point of impact.
Mhm. Well, I
So,
mean, they've already started season 2, right?
right.
So that's
Right.
why I
And I'm
always
going to
say
watch it.
fail is always is a hard
Yeah.
term, just because
Yeah.
like shows that fail don't get a second season,
Right.
especially something
True.
as
True.
CGI heavy as a Halo. I mean,
Yeah.
and again,
Very
I agree on
CGI.
all points, but
Yeah.
to play devil's advocate, uh, is it easy to compare those shows when there were estimates that each episode of The Last of Us cost between $1 and $10 million for each individual episode
Of
versus
The
a show
Last of
like
Us?
of The Last of Us? Each
Okay.
episode was 1 to 10 million, depending
Okay.
on the episode. Whereas Halo, I think all told, the series was like 2 million or something like that. So
Really?
yeah. I'd have to double check the exact numbers, but it was
So
somewhere
then,
in there.
so then return on investment, they absolutely were successful.
That's
But
exactly it.
but the way I gauge it, I have a scale right now where Halo's on the far left, The Witcher is in the middle, and The Last of Us is on the right side. And I say that only in The Witcher was authentic in the beginning and is stuck to a lot of the source material. I mean, even in the very beginning, it was changed, it was different, but um, by the end of it, it was so much dramatically different. Where I still love the show,
Mhm.
but now they're changing Henry Cavill out to one of
Liam.
the Hemsworths. Yeah,
Liam.
and
Yeah.
I'm done with the show once Cavill's out. I mean, I feel like most people feel that way.
Yeah.
But you could look at the spectrum from following the source material. On the left side is Halo, very, very, very loosely. And then on The Last of Us, where it's way tighter. And you just look at the reception of The
Mhm.
Last of Us, and you know it was what I would consider a great
Oh,
success.
smashing success.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe not financially, but realistically, it was
I
a
mean,
huge hit,
yeah.
and probably will win awards. I mean, honestly,
Oh,
it
absolutely.
should, very well should.
Absolutely.
Two
Bella
more
Ramsey is
points.
absolutely. Oof,
Two more points from the
she's so good.
audience. Elf
Yeah.
says the other problem for Halo was that it was on Paramount Plus, which is a struggling streaming service,
Yeah.
versus Last of Us being on HBO Max, which is
Yeah.
one of the big contenders right now. Scott says Halo's mistake is that they changed so much material. For that, they should have just labeled it as a whole new IP. You know,
I think if they would have marketed it as a new story, nope, nobody would have said as much as they said, I think,
Mm.
personally. But yeah. We'll see.
Fair.
We'll see with season 2.
We,
I'm still
we
gonna
will
watch
see.
it. I love Halo. So
We will see. So Obviously, a big thing. Not sure if everybody watched it, but it's probably all over your feed. If you watch this show, this is probably all over your feed. Was the Oscars, right?
Yeah.
The Oscars went on a lot. I mean, honestly, for me, a lot of it was predictable as far as who won.
I feel like it was too.
The big winner of the night, obviously, was the movie Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Incredible film. I even sat my wife down and watched it, and she was just, I'm so confused most of the movie, but still enjoyed it. Still enjoyed
See,
it. It's an incredible
we've been
movie.
trained in the art of the multiverse, so
Yes.
we're tracking.
Yes.
We completely understand.
Exactly. Marvel laid the path, and then even
Yeah,
before
they
that,
got us.
you know,
The
all
comic
the
books got us all prepared.
yeah,
for
all
this.
the time travel shows and body
Yeah.
swapping. I mean, was it even a Quantum Leap? You know what I mean? The whole jumping bodies and things like
Yep.
that. We've been training for this for years.
Yeah.
So fascinating was
Mhm.
that IGN reported even before the Oscars, IGN calculated that Everything, Everywhere, All at Once had already passed The Lord of the Rings: Return of the King as the most awarded movie ever. So they had won 158 accolades compared to Return of the King, which had 101. So they were already
By a significant
57 awards over one of the most decorated movies. And then obviously in the Oscars, they won Best Movie, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress. I mean, basically of the top, they won 4 of the top 5.
Yeah.
You know, only missing out Best Actor, which went to Brendan Fraser for
Brendan
The Whale.
Fraser. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Thoughts on the movie? Thoughts on the win? I know some people were upset that Angela Bassett didn't win for her role in Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I am one of those people. I really, you got to understand, I've been watching Angela Bassett since Stella got her groove back, and even before that. And I mean, all of those roles, if we were in 2023 when a lot of those movies came out, Angela Bassett would have been nominated years ago.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that at that time, those movies didn't get the love and the props that she deserved because she's always been a really stellar actress. On the flips, and first off, her performance in Wakanda Forever, oh, her and when she and Tenacuerta was on the same screen at the same time, it was just like watching two powerhouses.
Electric.
Yeah, it was. It was that. It was good. And imagine that's a comic book movie. So I mean, you know, I think that's really where the problem was.
I think, yeah.
It's the first Marvel character to be nominated for an award in the Oscars. So it's like maybe that's what did it in. I think it was unfair, but I also am a huge fan of Jamie Lee Curtis. I've been watching her for years. I mean, True Lies, I watch it all the time. Scream Queen, I mean, the original Scream Queen, it feels like. I mean, obviously not the first, but
Halloween.
I mean, a pioneer of the last girl, you know, and
I think that's part of it too. I think the argument was that listen, Jamie Lee Curtis is at the end of her career, right? She's up for that you know, Lifetime Achievement Award coming up pretty soon.
Pretty much.
And it's like,
I mean, she's selling yogurt that makes you poop.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
pretty soon it's adult diapers. Pretty soon it's right around the corner.
I mean, it's right there.
You know,
the proof is
in the pudding.
But my thing is I think that's part of what it was.
Yeah.
But also the association and the fact, all the work that she did behind the scenes, because they've been campaigning for Everything Everywhere All at Once since the movie came out. Kihei Kwan was on so many shows and the press tours, and his 30-year journey, which I respect and I love.
Starting with like the Goonies.
Me watching Data or Short Round get on the fucking stage after 30 years and win an award on the same night Brendan Fraser does, and they were both in Encino Man when they were adults. I'm just like, my inner child was so happy at watching the Oscars. But I think a lot of the fact that it was first off, it was a great movie. It seemed very out there.
Tell me if I'm wrong, but did it not seem like this was the year? You don't want to say this was a year for Asian actors, but this was the year of like the coming full circle. because you had the Brandon Fraser, you had the Jamie Lee Curtis, you had I can never pronounce his name.
Ki Kwan.
Ki Hu Kwan, Michelle Yeoh. You had all these people that have been in the business forever and had been in massive blockbusters and never really even nominated.
Michelle Yeoh, you cannot tell me Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon didn't deserve nominations.
Classic.
But again, if we were in 2023 when some of those movies came out, it would have been a different story. The difference is, and people can hate me and call it whatever it is, it's not woke nonsense bullshit. It's the fact that movies like that weren't up for consideration before people were saying, hey, consider these amazing movies, because you and I and everybody watching loves movies like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. And half of the movies that get nominated, most of us never see. We don't, no offense to anybody, I didn't watch Banshees of Inisherin. I've seen clips because they've been on their campaign trail too to get them nominated. But I'm just like, talking movies about talking are always nominated. But movies that are like innovative and different and still have stellar acting are never noticed or nominated because of the snooty types that run the show.
Yeah.
Again, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Michelle Yeoh was amazing. Chow Yun-fat, amazing. And you know what I mean?
People of color, people in minority groups just weren't given the same weight.
And it's not even about the minority thing, because even if like it's tough, because it feels like, yes, because persons of color and minorities
In the past.
Me personally, I'd love to see some Hispanics nominated for some stuff, but they won't cast most of us for things, and that's okay. We'll get our turn. We'll get our time. You know what I mean? And somebody somewhere is going to say, oh, it's all about Hispanics now. It's like, dude, we've been here,
Yeah.
But I think that's what it is. I think we're ready to start acknowledging movies that take risks, that aren't just all about talking all the time.
Yeah.
Everything Everywhere All at Once took what some would consider a comic book idea, made it grounded in reality, and then warped your reality, and then made it fun. And I think it's about time the Oscars takes risks on movies like that. And most people are probably really happy with the award choices for that movie and some of the others. And another one I thought was dope was RRR making an appearance. And winning Best Song. Yeah, that was kind of cool.
That's impressive. That's impressive. Hey, well, going back to Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
It's the closest thing I've ever seen to somewhere between a comic book and a video game. Like brought to the because I felt like every stage of that was like a different stage. There were boss fights. There were hallway scenes. So many hallway scenes. There's traversing. There's dimension hopping. I was like, this is the closest movie I've ever seen, counting video game movies. I'm like, this is the closest I've seen to that experience of playing a video game. It was wild. It was crazy. It was confusing. And I definitely think it got the recognition it deserved. And it's unfortunate, you know what I mean? Because them's the breaks, you know what I mean? When you're like, well, I would have won if not for them. And I'm like, that's just the breaks. You know what I mean?
It's happened many, many times. Yeah. It's happened many, many times to many, many actors and actresses. Yep. There's been plenty of years where we're like, she should have won or he should have won. But when you're up against a certain kind of movie, I mean, Wakanda Forever was fantastic. And she was just a powerhouse. But at the same time, and honestly, I think it was a bad decision. I think that Angela Bassett should have won over Jamie Lee Curtis. But if anybody else was going to win, it was going to be Jamie Lee Curtis.
Listen, you got to get one white person in there. You know what I mean? You got to get one white person's got to win an award.
Got to make sure we don't get them all. Brendan Fraser.
That's true.
Let's be honest. He recaptured everybody's heart. I was pulling for Brendan so bad. I haven't even watched The Whale.
Yeah.
I haven't even watched it.
Neither have
But
I.
again, it's another talking movie about life, and
Yeah.
the Oscars loves movies talking about life. But like, I was really happy to see All Quiet on the Western Front get some awards because that was a German film.
Yep.
You know, it's
Yeah.
nice to see other films from other nations being recognized as Hollywood quality.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, we don't have the market on, we haven't cornered the market on good films.
Sure. Yeah. On
We've
movies.
seen lots of
Yeah.
great we've
Yeah.
seen lots of great films from other nations that are
Absolutely.
pretty good.
And we've had stars from other countries come here and then make movies. And it's like, well, why is it when they come here and make a movie, oh, we can recognize them, but we can't recognize the movies they make over Jackie Chan? How many movies did he make in China before he came over to the States and started and did like 5 or 6? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or Michelle Yeoh or any of the people you've named.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a dozen of them that are celebrities where they come from, and then they come in here, they're like the newcomer into film.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Oh, yeah.
they've been making movies for like 20 years. They're not newcomers.
They don't have 30 years of experience,
Yeah.
like new to the American scene. I love it. I love these people who discover something, that it's a big thing on TikTok. People are discovering things that we've known existed forever. Gotta
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, the actual King Smith in the chat's screaming USA, USA.
He's got his America shirt on.
He's wearing his red, white, and blue bikini. So okay, kind of. So going away from the Oscars, to a new movie, but has a lot of buzz going around it, is John Wick 4. The early reviews are out.
Yeah,
they're giving it a 10. So
I saw
IGN
that.
gave it a 10.
I mean,
That means it is a perfect movie.
Yeah. How do you do that? Like
On the 4th movie, how do you
on the
get a
4th
10?
movie,
How do you get a 10?
Exactly. Because don't get me wrong, I've loved every single John Wick
Absolutely.
movie. Let's be honest, they've all been good. I don't know that I'd ever rank them as 9 or 10.
Exactly. The first probably being the closest, only because for me, it had the most, it was the most story driven from start to finish. It had a beginning, it had heart, it had all that.
Fair.
Whereas the second and third were just like, let's fucking ramp it up to 100.
Yeah.
Better, don't get me wrong,
full
2 and
throttle.
3, better action, better scenes, better choreography, better fighting. But the story is just, he's running for his life. He's running for his life. He's running for his. Whereas the first one, it was this story of revenge and getting the brutal murder of the dog, and then he closes that story, getting the new dog and kind of putting it behind him, And then you gotta franchise these things and keep it going. But that's why I said I feel like the first one is just, to me, it's the better balanced movie.
Yeah.
And 2 and 3 are
like the
great.
First one. I like the first one for a completely different
Sure.
reason. I'm gonna blow your mind. In most films, they foreshadow the villain like throughout the film. They talk about him differently. They let you know how big and bad the bad guy is. They got to give you the stakes, right?
Mhm.
They didn't do that in John Wick. In John Wick, they portrayed John Wick as the villain. They did all of the stereotypical or procedural tactics that Hollywood does to tee up the villain, and they did it for Wick instead of an actual villain. So John Wick is the bad guy of the first movie, and that's not necessarily true, but how they
Right.
shot
The
the
elements
film,
that they use.
the elements that they used tee him up as the bad guy. Because I
Yeah.
mean, Baba
Listen,
Yaga, man.
the other dude killed
He's
the
the guy-
dude from Game of Thrones killed his dog. So I mean, he's the bad guy.
Totally.
But yes, but John Wick
But-
is the stuff of nightmares. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
He's the monster under the bed.
He kills the boogeyman.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I love this because Kaz says, "Is there anyone left alive for part 4?" So here's the thing: realistically, if you've watched 1, 2, and 3, he's killed. Like the first one, he kills the local crime family. Then the second one, he kills like that guy's family
a
plus
seat at the table.
plus the seat at the table. That kills the guy at the seat at the table. And the third one, it's just him running for his life, trying to get out of there and trying to get back into it, and then fighting back at the counter. So for the fourth one, as I understand it, and I haven't seen it, as I understand it, the now he's fighting the worldwide organization. So he basically destroyed the American institution. So now he's taking it on a global scale. He's fighting them
Network.
like all over the world.
Yeah.
And there was rumor that like it was going to be a bi-trilogy where it was going to be like 2-3 parters. But I read a thing recently where the director was like, you know what, me and Keanu, we're gonna take a break after this one, so we're gonna, you know, we're gonna pause.
I mean, it's been a minute since the last one. I've heard that they meet the king or whatever of everything, so that's cool. Maybe we get some finality out of this one. I'd love to see more Wick, but
I wonder how this, because we know already they're doing a Continental series and Ballerina the series, or Ballerina the movie. So I'm wondering, because in this era of multi-connected universes, they have to plant the seeds. We had a tease of the Ballerina. I think it was in the second or third one when he was going through the thing and they saw the, like, where he came from. They saw the Ballerina. And obviously we know all about the Continental, so to speak. So I'm curious to see how much, because that's what I always think is the hardest balance. Now, I think Hollywood's figured out the action thing and they figured out the story thing. Marvel's the best / worst at when it comes to planting seeds for other movies, because it should be a tease, but the movie shouldn't revolve around the tease. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Totally. It should be just a seed that gets planted. Avengers 1 was great because, you know, you had all the build up of the team up and all that, and then fighting the thing, and then they just planted a little seed, Thanos, and that was it. But it wasn't like the movie was built around that. Whereas, as much as I loved Ant-Man Quantumania, you could feel the whole movie was just a tease for the rest of the phases and Kang and doing all that stuff. I don't know. It didn't feel like a fully fleshed out story from start to finish. It's a self-contained story.
It's season 1 of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Where it was really Mandalorian 2.5.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I think the Marvel universe in that regard is just trying to justify the existence of the Ant-Man. That's how I feel now. I loved Ant-Man, the character, not necessarily this version, but I love the Ant-Man character. So, a little disappointed, but Kang, pretty badass. So, I mean, we'll see. I don't know what they're doing. Yeah, so continuity, like let's go back to John Wick. The continuity has been slowly escalating upwards because I mean, there's 3 films. That's a lot of time to really tell a story. I think if they close the chapter on John in this movie, they can expand the universe through the Ballerina and the Continental, and maybe give us another character in the universe down the road. So
and there's so much story to tell, because people forget, because it's been years of John Wick now. 1, 2, and 3 take place over a weekend.
Oh yeah.
Like it's literally the first one is day 1, the second one is like day 2, and then the third one is like 2 or 3 days long. So it's over the course of he's had a really bad week. He's had a really rough week.
It's been a rough week.
So when you think of, okay, all of the history before this week and then all of the history after this week, that's a lot of space to tell story.
There's a lot of room.
And I'll be honest, like, again, I love the films. I really do. But I feel like it got too big. The first one was so good and was so localized, and it had all this mystery and who's in and the second one, okay, it expanded a little bit, right? It gave us more assassins and everybody's kind of in on it, and then the third one was just like this, like everyone on the planet's an assassin apparently. I feel like there's like one guy. There's like one guy just like, why is everyone shooting at everyone? Like, he's just the one guy that wasn't chosen to be an assassin.
Did that man just murder him?
It's just dead bodies everywhere.
Piles of bodies.
He's just an insurance adjuster from like Idaho, and he's like, why is everyone dead? Like, premiums are gonna go through the roof.
Honestly, I think if they would have as ridiculous as it is, I feel like they could have like made a joke out of it, all of it, and like had like a Girl Scout troop come in, and like either all the Girl Scouts are assassins or the Girl Scout leader is like, "Hold on, girls, I'll be right back," and she
Yeah.
goes off and tries to murder John Wick. Like, I mean, everybody
Is a dentist
seems
just killing
to be
guys
an
with drills.
assassin.
Like that's it gets to a point of ridiculousness.
But I think that's the appeal. I think that's what it is we love to see Keanu Reeves just murder people.
Yeah. Yeah.
We love it. I don't know why.
I mean, that's what I think. Like, it reminded me. So it's like, so like Punisher taking out, like in the first one, he's taking out henchmen. They're basically henchmen for like a mob, and like, okay, you could see why John Wick cuts through them, right?
Yeah.
But then it's like, this guy is the level 10 master assassin from Japan, and they're going toe to toe. And it's like, John Wick was just struggling with those henchmen over there. And you're telling me the guy that's trained everyone for the last 50 years is struggling? Like, it's, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, again, they try to make it where like John Wick's superpower is his sheer force of will.
Yeah.
Like it's not so much that he's better than everybody, is that he
Refuses to
absolutely
lose.
refuses to die. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's like in the final movie, he's going to meet death itself and just be like,
fight death.
no, and
Fight
just beat the
death
shit out of death. You know?
So callback. He's gonna beat death in a game of Twister. Callback to Bill and Ted.
Oh, yes.
He's gonna beat death in battle by battleship.
He's already beaten death, man. He's escaped hell twice now.
I think there's a great comment. Who's this? Scott says, all the regular people in this universe are the cameramen. They're the people just walking around filming everything. Like that's great. I love that. We gotta get that. But yeah, no, that's what I said. It's I don't want it to become the Fast and the Furious, where it's like,
no.
okay, now John Wick is in space fighting aliens because it turns out they're the head of the table. They were mind controlling the head of the table. It's like he's dimension hopping. He gets the Infinity Gauntlet and just. But no, if this series does not end with him standing over the last bad guy, and they're like, why, John? And he's like, because they killed my dog, and then bam, and then face. Like that's how it has to end. Because you got to go, wait a minute.
Why did
this all was because they killed a fucking dog? There's the Earth's population is lowered by like 30%, all because
yes,
because they killed a dog. So yeah, if that's not the way it ends, I swear to God, like that's
how it needs to end now.
The most Hollywood, call me. I'm here.
Yeah, right. We got some ideas for you.
We'll write it out. Okay, another topic because we're coming close. So I can already guess without even asking. I'm assuming that you're a fan of Beetlejuice. I mean,
of course.
Who isn't?
I mean, who isn't?
And for since like 1990, there's been rumors of a sequel. Right? It's been forever that there's been a sequel rumors. Well, the latest of the rumors is that Jenna Ortega could go from Addams Family to the Dietzes.
To the Dietz.
Yes. I'm getting a California. Yeah. Just talk amongst yourself. Good. I'm gonna answer this.
Yeah. Sounds good. Hey, so now it's funny because CQ's not here, so I'm gonna talk smack about it. No, so Jenna Ortega, honestly, I like the idea of her being in Beetlejuice 2. I love the fact that Michael Keaton's coming back, and that's awesome. But I don't know how y'all feel, but I kind of feel like Jenna Ortega is being chosen for everything now. Like, she's like our new Scream Queen girl, and I like that. But I worry that they're going to overuse her for things that are not quite Scream Queeny enough. Like, she was amazing in X. It was awesome to see her in X. I loved her as Wednesday. I think she could probably pull off a really good Delia Dietz daughter. But it's one of those things where I don't want to see her in 400 films in the next 2 years, and then we're all tired of her, especially when she has the potential to branch out and be much more than a Scream Queen. But she is definitely being teed up to be a new Scream Queen.
Jenna Ortega is, I feel like between her and Jonathan Majors, just everywhere. I feel like just everywhere, doing everything. Good for them. Good for them. To be, I had to take that. That was Hollywood calling me. So, and you think I'm joking, but literally it came up on my call ID as Hollywood, California. I was like, well, Hollywood's calling me. Let me answer this.
It's time to go, guys. See ya.
Hey, we've been optioned. God bless.
Hey.
Good night. But no, yeah. So with her coming back, and so the idea is that Jenna Ortega is going to come to Beetlejuice 2 and play the daughter of Winona Ryder's Lydia Dietz. This comes from the Ankler Insider, Jeff Snyder. He reported that the long in works follow-up to director Tim Burton's 1988 classic Beetlejuice finally got the go, with Burton coming back and original cast members Michael Keaton, as of course Beetlejuice, Ryder coming back as Lydia, and Catherine O'Hara coming back as her stepmother, Delia Dietz. So you're gonna
awesome.
Yes. So
I love Catherine O'Hara.
There might be some obvious people missing. Adam Baldwin is going through some things at the moment. I don't think he'll be available to return to Beetlejuice 2. But and who played his wife? Oh my God, who played his wife? Gina Davis.
Gina Davis.
Yeah. And I don't think Gina Davis is reprising.
They're coming back because
they're not.
It was, they're the original couple, and now it's about Winona Ryder's character.
Yeah, it's her and her daughter. And so I don't know. I think that would be interesting. I think that'd be interesting to bring back, and obviously they said this is not a reboot. It is a pure sequel set 30 years after the original. So this is
Beetlejuice is a ghost. He doesn't age. I mean, technically, he's gonna look older, but
with makeup and prosthetics and things. Like, he was so heavily prostheticized in the first one that I think makeup and prosthetics are gonna they'll just like tape all his skin. Remember the episode of Simpsons when Homer just pulls all the skin to the back?
All the skin back.
Yeah, and I think he'll look just as good. He'll look just as good.
He'll look fine.
Or shit, they'll just use what they get on TikTok. You get the filters, right? The
they actually
youth filters.
did that in the movie. Remember, they pulled their fucking face back and all this.
Now they can do it. Now they can do it for real. It's just all loose. They can just pull it back. Yes. She's gonna be the new. That's funny. So James says that Jenna Ortega is gonna be the new spokesperson for the Army along Jonathan Majors. That's gonna be the two of them. Yes.
Say what you want. That Jonathan Majors Army commercial was dope.
You know what?
It was really good.
I hate anytime I have to go, Army did a good thing. Like that was well done. Well, no, it wasn't the Army. Let's be honest, it wasn't the Army. They hired a really good marketing company probably to do that, because you've seen things produced by the Army, and it ain't that.
Honestly, I don't know. Have you seen some of the like unit level things that people have been coming up with to like in support of? Dude, we have some creative fucking people out there, man.
Yeah.
Like that one where they're just sitting at the airborne school, and he's just sitting there sipping a coffee. He's like, "Morning, First Sergeant." And it's like, I'm like, come on, that's hilarious. It's so old school looking, and it's just, it's
did
ridiculous.
Did you see the viral, and we're off track now, but did you see there's a viral video of this like female PSYOP soldier that everybody's like simping over? Like, she is drop dead gorgeous, and she's in the uniform and everything. And every like mill creator account is like talking about her, because they're like,
she's the perfect PSYOP.
Yes, they're like, the recruitment's gone up like 20,000%. Everybody's trying to join PSYOPs just to slide into them DMs,
The Psy community is just boosting.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
She is absolutely the perfect PSYOP.
And she's gorgeous. I'll be the first to admit, she is drop dead gorgeous.
I'm gonna have to check it out. I can't believe I missed it.
And people are like, that's fake. It's fake. It's fake. And then there's video of her like in uniform and like doing drills and stuff. And people were like, oh,
that's hilarious. hilarious.
She's that good.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, no. So yeah, this is oh man, I just I'm turning red because it just played in my mind, and I'm like, yeah, yeah. Oh,
Time
man.
to re-enlist, guys.
Yeah. Oh man. Scott says she's attractive for sure, but not worth selling your soul for 4 years. I don't know.
I mean, we've sold our
I don't know.
soul for less.
Have you seen the rates of the percentage rates on Chargers?
You
Yeah,
know what I sold my soul for originally?
I got so much less.
Like $20,000 for college.
Yeah, if you're lucky that. Okay. Ooh, one more story, or at least one more.
Yeah.
So we were kind of talking about this last week. Stephen Yeun, who got cast in this secret role for the MCU's Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
We still don't know what. Speculation is crazy everywhere from Hyperion to Sentry to Cannonball, all these. Physically wise, he seems more of a Cannonball than because Hyperion and Sentry were like
Hyperion's supposed to be huge.
buff, like bigger than Superman style guys.
Yeah, you need a guy like the Rock size for that.
Yeah, and Cannonball was a more thinner, lankier guy. Either way, we still don't have any word of what he's playing, but he finally kind of broke his silence. I love the clickbait articles where he breaks his silence, where it's like, yeah, I'll be in the movie. Like that's them breaking their silence. But basically what he did say is he was being interviewed and they asked him about it, like, hey, what's going on with it? And he said, hey, I can't say much, but I'm very excited to do it. He said that, and this is an exact quote, the intentions of the particular character that they wanted me to play were very clear, and that's what drew me to the part. That's it. That's breaking the on his secretive Thunderbolts role. So he said it's so the key there is that the character that he's playing, it was the intentions were very clear for that character, and that's what drew him to the project. So
let's be clear.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. No one breaks their silence in the MCU, folks.
Yeah.
Their NDAs are ironclad.
Yeah. Yeah.
The first time you're going to know who his character is in the trailer. You're not going to know before the trailer.
And probably not even the first trailer either.
Yeah.
Probably not even the first. So they love to drag it out.
Yes.
They won't know. You'll know when Marvel releases the statement. Yeah. That's when you'll know.
You're going to know like a week or two before the first episode.
Half of these actors don't even know. They're half the time they don't know they're in the MCU. And Marvel's like, by the way, we wrote you into the MCU. You're like, oh, okay, I'm in the MCU now.
Lawrence Fishburne, he doesn't even realize
he doesn't remember.
He's like, oh, I'm a huge Marvel fan. I'd love to be in it. Like,
I'm a huge MCU fan. Was his exact quote? I'm a huge MCU fan. He goes, I heard they're doing Captain America, man. Ooh, I want to get in on that. And it's like, dude, you're now. To be on his side of it, maybe he didn't say it right. And he knowing he's in the MCU saying, I'm a big fan and I want my character to be in that. It could have been because I saw the video and it so could be seen as he didn't remember he's in the MCU, which let's be honest, he's in 5 minutes of that movie.
Oh yeah.
Very easy to forget.
I mean, what's her name who played Pepper Potts? She barely remembers she was in some of the movies she was in.
And she was in a lot more of them.
I think the way the MCU does their work and their secrecy and stuff like that, I think sometimes they film for scenes that they don't know which movie it's going to be in.
It's possible.
And I think that's a very real possibility, and he could have shot those scenes in the first Ant-Man and then in the second Ant-Man they aired, I don't think that's how it worked out.
Yeah.
But in general, it's
and that's the thing. It's true. It is true. Because the initial slap to the face is like, oh God, he doesn't remember he was in the MCU. But then I always try to look at it from both sides, and he's probably talking. He was talking about something else, and then they slide that one in there, and in the moment he's in his head he's thinking, I'd love my character to be in that movie, or I can't wait to be back, but that's not how it came out.
That's not how it came out. Yeah, and besides, they'll show it kind of semi out of context
Yeah,
anyway. So
of
it's
course. Clickbait, man.
you know,
It's
you
what
love
we're
it.
all known
Oh yeah,
for.
it's all clickbait.
All about
It's
the
all
clickbait. Now, yeah. So I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I'm
Yeah.
curious to see that Thunderbolts. Let me tell you something. Of all the things coming, that one's got me kind of like excited.
Yeah.
Because they're throwing a
Because the
lot of
cast.
characters that
Oof.
like had their moments, but never really like had their moment. You know what I mean? You had these characters that we've gotten taste of and had little moments, but they never really got to. I look at like Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie really getting their time to shine in
Yeah.
Falcon and Winter Soldier. And I feel like all these other kind of B characters up until this point, this is their chance to really shine in that Suicide Squad style of a movie,
Yeah.
and I think it's gonna be really good. I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, I'm hoping they do something like that. Obviously we don't want them copying because copying the Suicide Squad. But let's be honest, most of these teams were designed similarly to compete with each other in the market, so it's gonna feel similar. Just
Yeah.
DC came out with it first, but they ultimately sucked at it the first time, anyways. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. I'd love to see them flesh out some of those characters. I want to see Bucky like kind of be like in the lead. That would be kind of dope to see.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, Bucky's supposed to be the leader of
yeah,
the Thunderbolts.
yeah.
That's the way they're pitching it.
I want to see how they play Harrison Ford's old ass in that movie, man. He's so old. Like I love him. I love Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Decades of love and fandom, but it's like
Literally
he's so
decades.
old. How is he going to be? Because he's Thunderbolt Ross. Isn't he supposed to be the Red Hulk?
He's supposed to. I mean, in the comics, he's the Red Hulk. Whether he be, I don't know if they're gonna do that.
He's
here.
gonna Hulk out and be like, Hulk smash.
They pan over
Hulk
to
sleep.
Thunder. What do you think, Ross? Oh, okay. Hey, Debbie. Hey, Logan's watching. Hi, Logan. How you doing, bud?
What's up, bud?
And so to answer Heath, because he asked what was he in, who did he play? I think he's referring to Lawrence Fishburne. He was it Ben Foster? Ben Foster,
yeah.
who was Goliath in that was in Ant-Man 2. So he was the one that was kind of protecting Ghost and trying to bring her back, and he was I wouldn't say the antagonist, but he was kind of the foil somewhere in the anti-hero, so to speak, in that movie, and was alluding to the character of Goliath from the comic books.
He was the anti-hero, but it turns out he had good intentions. So it was
doing
murky,
bad things for good reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
Classic anti-hero. One other story. Let's quick hit before we toss it to a break here at the top of the hour. BioShock. You have to know BioShock. I mean, it's one of the classics. I mean, Big Daddies, Little Sisters. I mean, huge,
game, yeah.
huge franchise. Well, the creator of BioShock, Ken Levine, and Take-Two Interactive, which is the company that created the game, are involved with an upcoming movie, which apparently reports is really true to the game. Obviously, we're in an era where we expect video game movies to go badly or to take creative license with the property. We've been talking about that all day, it seems. Yeah. But they're saying that it's supposed to be really true to the game. During an interview with Collider, director Francis Lawrence explained how Netflix has given him free reign to tackle the movie as he sees fit, and that means working alongside the game's creator. So I was getting nervous when you hear things like he can do it his way, because you're like, well, hopefully his way is do it the way the game did it. Hopefully that's his way.
Has he been playing video games for 30 years of his life? I mean,
I hope so. So this is a quote from Francis Lawrence, the director. He says, basically, me and Cameron, who works with me, and Michael Green are getting to do what we want to do, which is great. A lot of it staying really true to the game itself. See, this is what always worries me when you hear a lot of it is staying really true to the game itself. And we're talking to Take-Two Interactive and Ken Levine. For me, that's always the most important thing. You can tell when a movie was in collaboration with the team and the creator.
Yeah.
You can tell. And you can tell when they weren't. The Halo series was not in collaboration with anybody from the game series.
Yeah.
The Last of Us was made by the guy that made the game. The guy that created the game basically wrote it and directed it. So you can tell. You can tell
the difference. Yeah. You can see, you can feel the love for the game in The Last of Us.
With right now, the one that I think to compete with The Last of Us in terms of quality and faithfulness to the source material is the guys that are doing Fallout, the Fallout series.
Yeah. I'm hoping so.
Like the guy that's directing it, I'm spacing out his name right now. The guy directing it he's like I've played every Fallout. I've played hundreds of hours of every Fallout. So it's like, that's someone who you can trust.
Yeah.
That if he's going to make a change, it's a quality change for a very good reason versus like, well, if we change this, it'll be a nice big spectacle. And it's like, but it has nothing to do with the story. So let's see. So again, the director said, I don't want to get too into it now because it's pretty early in the process, but I certainly have not felt stifled in any way or sent in any directions from Netflix. So take it with a grain of salt. I mean,
we'll see.
Apparently Netflix is not getting in the way and letting them do it their way. Fingers
Maybe they learned
crossed.
from The Witcher, man. Maybe they learned from The Witcher. They could have stayed true to the source material like Henry Cavill asked them to, you know? I mean, he literally knew all the source material and they still chose to change very, very important things. They completely borked it with Blood Origin. So maybe Netflix is learning. Maybe they're like, okay, maybe let's not screw with the recipe. You know what I mean? Because there's a reason why so many people love these franchises.
For sure.
And you want those people to stick with you.
Yeah.
You know, if you want millions of people tuning in, stick to the source material.
Absolutely.
You know,
I really believe like with the Fallout series, I think they got the right people in charge.
Yeah.
We'll see when it comes to this one if they have the right people involved. James in the chat, he said perfect. Resident Evil was a great example of that, of like the source material is so rich and so good, yet they kind of wanted to like do their own thing in that space, and the audience reacts to that. They go, but this is not what I expected. This is not what I wanted.
Yeah.
And we've always said it's a tough tightrope to walk when you're pleasing, you know, it's fan service and we're just doing what they did versus like we want to tell our own story. It's a tough tightrope to walk.
I think the problem is Hollywood's lack of understanding just how powerful the source material is, as in a way that means profit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If they knew that the game sold 200 million copies, and they sold 20 million copies and made $400 million, they'd be like, okay, there's something there. Maybe we should. But I don't think they really equate the story in that sense. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
I love the Resident Evil series personally. I know that it's nothing like the source material, but at the time, I think we were just really happy to get that.
To get content,
So we were just like, oh, cool, they're making a video game movie. Let's watch it, you know? Nobody's really doing that.
But it's also at a time where like we weren't getting quality.
Exactly.
There was a lot of movies that were just, tuning in for
just
the bucks.
Not quality. Yeah.
Anyway, guys. We got our guest sitting in the green room, and we're going to get to him. So we're going to toss to a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to have an awesome interview with Sean Kanan. Nemo, thank you for joining me in the first hour. Appreciate you being here, bud. And I'll give you a quick second to say goodbye, and then we'll toss to a break.
Everybody, have a good time. Hit me up on all the chat channels. You guys know our accounts. Tune into stuff, and let me know what you guys want to talk about.
All right,
have a good
awesome.
one.
Thanks, Nemo. We'll be back after this short break. Shut.
You're listening to the sounds of WTF Nation Radio.
Hey, you there? Yeah, it is right, you. Let me ask you something, alright? Where the hell do you think that you're going? Oh, what do you think because the show's going to commercial that means you get to just walk away? Well, CQ asked me to pass on the little message, alright? And it says, I'll be back.
After all I've done, do you love me now? Do you love me now? After all I've said, running through your head, do you love me now? Do you love me And if I told
Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Pop Culture Warrior. I am so excited. Oh, do I have a good show for you tonight? Oh, where do I even begin? Where do I begin? All right, I got to do this right. This is worth it. We got to nail this. My guest tonight is an amazing producer, writer, and Emmy-nominated actor. His first big role was that of Mike Barnes in the 1989 classic Karate Kid 3. Since then, he's been a mainstay in Hollywood, appearing in a number of TV shows and movies, including 55 episodes of Sunset Beach, 78 episodes of Youthful Daze, 140 episodes of General Hospital, and he's played Deacon Sharpe across both The Young and the Restless and The Bold and the Beautiful, a whopping 972 episodes over the last 23 years. He's also the executive producer, writer, and star of the Emmy Award-winning show Studio City. And as if all that wasn't enough, he's also an accomplished writer, having written books like The Modern Gentleman, Success Factor X, Way of the Cobra, and now its follow-up, Welcome to the Kumite. Enough teasing, guys. Everyone, please give it up for our amazing guest star tonight, Mr. Sean Kanan. Oh, so close.
Thank you so much for having me on, brother. I really appreciate it.
Oh, man. We are so excited to have you. We're obviously huge fans of your work. We have such short time because you have such a massive history and not aging anyone, but you've been doing it long enough. You have so much to talk about, so we're gonna pick the highlights. But first and foremost, I always like to ask, what is your military connection?
So, my maternal grandfather and my paternal grandfather were both in the Army. My mom's dad was a captain. He was a doctor in the Army during World War II. And my dad's dad was, I think he was a master sergeant in the Signal Corps.
Wow. That is, we thank them for their service. They're the greatest generation right there.
Both great men.
Absolutely. So this is a pop culture show that with a pop culture feel and lean. Let me ask you, what do you geek out about?
So I can't tell you who it is, but I just found out that somebody who is an actor from my childhood is going to be coming on a show that I'm working on, and I'm specifically working with this individual, and so I'm geeking out on that. What I really geek out on, though, is Star Trek, the original series.
Oh, wow. Okay. Any favorites come to mind? Any favorite episodes, actors?
Now, here's a great story. One time, my wife and I are in a restaurant having like an epic brawl, right? We're arguing in this booth, and all of a sudden I go, stop, fight's over. Shatner's behind us. And Shatner was sitting right in my eye line. So actually, when you think about it, William Shatner was creating world peace at the moment. So yeah, I'm kind of a Star Trek nerd.
Okay, man, we appreciate that. I think we can get behind that. Absolutely. Also, don't forget, guys, we're live right now. So if you have questions for Mr. Sean Kanan, make sure you put them in the chats and we'll get them to him. I always like to get to know the man behind the characters and behind the work. So here's an opportunity. Tell us, are there any charities you support, any causes you're really behind that you want to put the word out?
Well, I actually, I had worked years and years ago with USO. Went over to Bosnia and Kosovo and Macedonia to entertain the troops. And about a year ago, I spoke to my publicist and I said, I'd really like to get back involved with it. I do stand up. And so, you're always hearing about these comedians going to bases around the world. And I was like, that sounds great. Nothing like entertaining a bunch of people with M16s. But I thought, and so I just did 2 PSAs for USO, and I'm going to be doing a couple of events with them, and hopefully that's going to grow, and I'm going to be able to do more and more. Very involved with anti-bullying, specifically with an organization called Buddha Bullying. My wife and I were both active at the local animal shelter. My attitude is I try to never say no. Like if I can do anything, I do it. I'm not the poster boy for any one specific charity. I just try and say yes a lot.
That is, I'm just taking it all in. That's so beautiful. I love it. That's so awesome of you to do that. And I was gonna I didn't know if I should mention them. Like, do you do comedy? Because I mean, you have all these accomplishments, and I'm somebody that I've done stand up comedy as well. So I'm like, I don't know if I should put that out there. I don't know if he wants to, but I'm so glad you did because that's awesome that you do that.
Yeah, I got a bunch of shows coming up with Craig Shoemaker, the Love Master.
Yes.
Yeah, I got a bunch of Craig and I are going to be doing together next month, and I love it. I don't have the opportunity to do it quite as much as I wish I did because I'm filming most of the time. I have a booking at the New York Comedy Club in July in Stamford, Connecticut. So I have stuff coming up, but it's something I just love doing.
Yeah, I've seen the advertisement, Comedy Dojo.
Comedy Dojo.
Great title, by the way. Awesome. It's always in the name, man. It's always in the name. Right. I don't know if this isn't our usual color scheme, but we really wanted to hype, the yellow, the red, go with the Cobra Kai colors and the Karate Kid colors. So this is all for you. This is all we put on this display for you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Dave, I'm glad you appreciate it. So a little bit about your background. So I know that you were born in Cleveland, but mostly grew up in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. You graduated high school, went out to LA, went to UCLA, graduated with a BA in political science. Mm-hmm. What I want to know is where and when did the passion for acting start? Because obviously, moving to LA, that's the key. Like, he had that idea, but when did it really start for you?
Well, I'll tell you, I talk about this in the introduction of Welcome to the Kumite. So I was one of like 5 Jewish kids in my town, which was kind of a hard scrambled Western Pennsylvania steel town. And I was chubby and I had glasses. I mean, not exactly the trifecta for popularity. So I found myself early on the target of bullies. And I eventually found my oasis, my sanctuary, which was the local movie theater. And so, Clint Eastwood as the outlaw Josie Wales and Rocky Balboa and Obi-Wan Kenobi, they were my first mentors. But they also planted the seed, inside of me for a love for film, which eventually turned into a love for acting. So early on, I was really mesmerized by the transformative powers of film. And I was in some plays and stuff like that when I was a kid. I wasn't like a theater nerd. But by the time I got to college, I actually went to Boston University for 2 years before making the decision to come out to LA to start my acting career. Started dabbling and taking some acting courses. The deal with my parents was you got to finish college if you're going to go run off and join the circus and be an actor. And I figured, all right, well, I probably should pick something that's not a theater degree because, I'm not a big fan of having a plan B. But at that point in time, it seemed a little too much to just say, screw it, I'm going to get a theater degree. So I got a political science degree. I figured if everything went kind of tits up, I could at least maybe go to law school or something like that. But I really knew that I was angling to get myself to New York or to Los Angeles to start my acting career.
Outstanding. And I mean, and boy, howdy, did you kick it off in style. Coming out and almost immediately getting something like Karate Kid 3, Mike Barnes. Do you recall what that meant for you in that moment, like when you found out you got it?
Well, it was, it was one of the most tectonic moments of my life. I mean, the earth moved for me. I recognized that this was going to, if I didn't screw it up, this was going to change the trajectory of my life because, I was becoming a part of, this world famous franchise. And you know, how I got the role, I've told the story many, many times, and probably a lot of your viewers have heard me talk about it, but I got it from an open call. And my martial arts teacher, Sensei Fumio Demura, who was head of all of our martial arts schools, was also Pat Morita's stunt double. And so he knew I was in Los Angeles pursuing acting, and he said to me, there's going to be this audition for the new bad guy. You should go try out for it. And so I went to an open call. There were probably 2,000 people there. And there's John Avildsen, who won the Academy Award for Rocky, directed The Karate Kid, The Karate Kid 2. And he plucked me out of the line. Now, here's something that's really funny, interesting. Before Cobra Kai came out, Entertainment Tonight came to interview me on the set of Bold and the Beautiful. We're doing the interview. And I said, oh, God, I just had this flash that when I was auditioning for the part, Entertainment Tonight was there 35 years ago, and they interviewed me. And I was like, oh, my God, Entertainment Tonight's interviewing me. And so the guy that was interviewing me on the Bold and the Beautiful set said, well, you know, we've got this vault. We keep everything. He said, we're going to find it. So I wrote in Way of the Cobra about my experience of getting this part, right? But it was based on memory. I hadn't seen this interview. They found it, and you can find it on YouTube. Just put Sean Kanan
interview.
You know, interview. Yeah, whatever. And you know, my voice is different. It's like 3 octaves higher because I'm younger. And it was amazing to me how close I was with my recollection, because usually humans are pretty bad historians. You know, we see things through the prism of a million different variables, but this was such a seminal moment in my life that it really crystallized mentally, and I had a pretty good recollection of it. It was just a trip for me to watch it 35 years later.
Yeah, I did see the clip, by the way. I did, and it's incredible to see you literally, like, he's not being facetious. He's picked out of a line. Like, you don't see the end of the line in either direction, and to see you get picked out and then later on to be interviewed by E.T. I mean, how lucky can you be to have archival footage of something like that? That's incredible. So something that I think people should know is that prior to you even booking this thing, you had been studying karate for 5 years. And you just mentioned that. So, you know, kismet, fate, whatever you want to call it, that you should get this role. We did get a question in the chat. This is from Pete. And he says, why did you choose, oh my God, hopefully I don't butcher this, Shotokan karate to learn?
Good question. It was real simple. I was in a small town. There were like 2 karate schools, and my dad had a store, and a bunch of his stock boys who were all older than me, and I kind of looked up to them. They came in one day with a bunch of photos from class doing, you know, kicks and all this. And I was like, that's pretty cool. All right. And I was doing a little boxing in Youngstown, Ohio, and my parents quickly realized that the gym I was boxing in was a gym where, you know, these guys were doing it as a way of getting out of a socioeconomic situation, not their, you know, nice son from the suburbs. And so they said, well, why don't you take karate? And I didn't really want to do it at first, but it was one of 2 dojos, and the other one I think was also a Shotokan dojo. So I took what was available.
Gotcha. And his follow-up question was, what, if any, is your favorite weapon to train with / use?
I would say probably nunchucks. Yeah.
There you go. We're answering questions, man. We're knocking it out. You guys are great. Keep it up. You know, and I know that and you mentioned it. Your instructor had, I think, was done the karate for Karate Kid 1 and 2. Done the choreography for Karate Kid.
No, not the choreography. He was Pat Morita's stunt double. Like, they would put makeup on him, and he would look like Pat Morita, and he did all of Pat's fighting.
Got it. Okay. So, again, just kismet and the fate of it all kind of working out, I think, is incredible.
Like, it was destined. I mean, I know that sounds crazy. And I'll even tell you one more story, which I guess in retrospect sounds pretty arrogant. But I came back from Los Angeles, and I was on a vacation or break in my hometown. And, you know, my buddies I hadn't seen in a while were there. So we're sitting out in the stoop at the local, you know, gas station quickie mart like we'd done all through high school, shooting the shit. And I was like, you know, there's this role for Karate Kid 3. And I said, I'm going to get it. And they didn't laugh at me. They were like, you go get it, man. And I just had a crazy sense of destiny, it really was like winning the lottery because, first of all, in Hollywood, in film production, you don't leave it to chance that you're going to find one of your lead actors for a successful franchise from an open call. I think it was a publicity stunt. I think it was the third installment. I think they, needed some kind of a shot in the arm, public relations wise, and say, we're going to do this big open call. We don't expect to find the guy, but it's it's going to be good for the press. And when they found me, I think they were like, holy shit. Bingo.
Hey, again, the stars lined up. And I do got to mention, it wasn't always smooth sailing because I read the story where during filming, you suffered internal bleeding after injuring. I'm not even going to try to pronounce. Is it Omentum?
Momentum. Yeah.
Omentum.
So, the whole experience had pockets of extreme difficulty. I wasn't the first actor they hired. They hired someone else and fired him 2 weeks later, then brought me in. We were filming. I was having some pain in my upper left thigh. I thought it was from all the karate I was doing, taking a lot of aspirin. We broke for Christmas Day, 1988. Everyone is, preparing for celebrating the holidays with their family. And I passed out on the floor of the Dunes Casino, bleeding to death. I had internal bleeding. The aspirin exacerbated the bleeding. They rushed me to Humana Sunrise Hospital. And they said, okay, we don't know if we can save your life. You've been bleeding for days. And they said, my parents, my dad flew out. They could only get one ticket at the time. And they said, okay, we have to operate. So I thought they meant Monday, and they meant in 15 minutes. And, to date, it's still the scariest thing that's ever happened to me. When you realize that your life is completely in someone else's hands. And I imagine that a lot of the brave men and women in the military have had to be in that position. And, while I've never been in the military and I haven't been in combat, I do have a little glimpse of what that's like. And it is definitely, it gets your full attention.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I dozed for a second there because I've died twice.
Say that I was you to sleep, Mike?
No, not dozing. Is it like I went to a different place. I was shot in combat multiple times and actually died twice. So I'm reliving it as you're talking about like bleeding to death. I'm like, yeah, I've been there. I know that feeling.
Wow.
It's okay. It's okay.
Go from there.
It's totally fine. Totally bringing it down. No. I would just say I totally get it, and the similarities are right there. Like you said, that just this idea of like my life is in someone else's hands. I've done all I can do at this point, and just got to hope for the best. And I can sympathize because it's a hard moment to come at such a young age to come to grips with your mortality is.
Mike, it's so funny you say that because that's exactly how I describe it. You think you're immortal at 22 years old. And when you learn really quickly, the brakes get slammed on and that you're not, it's a psychic shock,
Yeah. And did something like that, and again, not really talking about acting in the career, but from a human level, does something like that, how does it change you? Did you kick into high gear? Did you, I got to cherish every moment, or do I got to live for life for the fullest? Like, how'd you come out of that?
Well, in the moment, in the window of that experience, for one reason or another, at that point in time, I summoned up something that was inside of me that I didn't know was there, because I not only had to fight my way back into the world, I had to fight my way back into the film. And I had a 15-inch wound with staples, and I had them discharge me against medical advice because I was going to get my ass back in shape and I was going to finish the movie. And ultimately, I did all my own martial arts stunts in the film. And that's a whole other story. But I don't know that right away I put together what the lesson was. But now, as a mature guy, the lesson that it taught me is, the story of the Chinese farmer, we shall see. Okay, so, you never know how, with the expansion of time, an event's really going to affect you. Something that might seem catastrophic in the moment, with the expansion of time, can prove to be the best thing that ever happened to you. And I think so much of our lives and our destiny is predicated on how we frame the stories in our lives that we attach to the events that happen to us. And if you're carrying around stories that are disempowering, then you need to reframe them and make them empowering. Because I could have very easily created the story, Hollywood sucks, they didn't give a shit about me, they were going to kick me to the curb, and I could have become jaded. And instead, the story that I chose to glean from that I carry around with me, is that at least for that moment, when the going got tough, you know, I reached down deep, I remembered my why, and I got going, and I adapted and overcame. And so now in my life, when things get really tough, I say to myself, is it as tough as lying on a gurney being told if they can save your life? It's probably not that tough. So buck up, buttercup. Yeah. You know, and it kind of rallies me.
I feel that so deep, so deep inside. I feel that, and you know, shout out to all. Like I was in Walter Reed, the Army Medical Center for years, and all these wounded veterans who had that same thing of like, right, this could be the worst thing that ever happened to me, or it could be the starting of something completely different.
Yeah, you know, there's this famous story. I mean, probably a lot of people have heard it, but it's a story about two twin brothers. And so there's a journalist, and she's in Skid Row, and she's on the ground sitting next to a homeless guy, and she says, "How is it that you came to this place?" And he said, "I had a father who drank bottle after bottle of whiskey day after day, year after year. He beat me, he beat my mother, and he beat my twin brother. How the hell else would I have grown up?" And she was so intrigued that she wanted to find the homeless man's twin brother. And when she found him, it was nothing at all what she expected. He had a beautiful home, he had a loving family, he'd been a doctor for years. And she said, "How is it that you grew up and avoided this other fate?" And he said, "Well, with a father like that, how else would I have grown up? I would never touch a drop of alcohol." So you have two individuals, identical circumstances, very different stories attached, completely different trajectories for their destiny. And it's all about how we choose to frame the events in our life. I know it's easier said than done. I mean, I know, you know, when something really crappy happens, I'm not saying it doesn't take a minute to get there, but I guess the choice to perpetuate being a victim of anything is just that. It's a choice. You know, there's a lot of people that get bad beats in this life, right? And in the moment, they are indeed a victim of circumstance, but how they choose to move forward, you know, makes all the difference.
Oh, God. You're preaching today, man, and I appreciate it. I love it. People need to hear this more often, so thank you.
People need to buy my books, and it's not because I'm selling books. I mean, look, you know, you go on podcasts, and when you have a book, and that's what you do. You talk about your book, and you want to sell your book, right? And I mean, sure, I want to sell my book, but I honestly believe that the information in these two books has the ability to absolutely 1000% transform people's lives. I know it does. It did it to me. You know, when I started writing one of those books, I was 45 pounds overweight. You know, I was drinking heavily. I had no prospects for work. And those books contain the strategies and philosophies that I used to rebuild my life from the ground up. And I'll tell you what, if you get the book, you don't get anything positive, you call me and I'll give you your money back.
There you go. And we're going to touch on the books. I'm going to wrap up I'm going to do the acting stuff. I definitely want to talk about the books because I am just blown away by what you've put in those books. So we're going to talk about that. I have to ask, you have a very quotable line in Karate Kid 3 screaming, "Your karate's a joke," you know. I love that line so much because it's such a thing a teenager would yell at another teenager as an insult. Do you get a lot of people yelling at you, "Your karate's a joke," or anything like that?
I get it all the time, and you know what? I think it's the sincerest form of flattery. I love it.
There you go, people. If you see him in the streets, yell at him in his face, "Your karate's." You might get punched. I don't know.
It beats the hell out of 7-year-olds coming up and kicking me in the shin for beating up Daniel's son. That happened for a while too.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, you're right. When, let's go back a few years. You're pretty far removed, let's say 20 plus, 25 plus years from Karate Kid. Um, when you first maybe became aware that Cobra Kai was becoming a thing, and you hear, you know, it was going to be a YouTube exclusive and things like that. Were you thinking at the time like, maybe one day they'd call me up, or was that ever in a thought that could happen?
Sure, absolutely. You know, I was very exuberant about the possibilities of joining the show at some point, and took a while, 5 years, but you know, they finally put me in. Coach finally put me in the game, and it was well worth it. The wait.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I do love your arc, by the way, in that it's so easy to go, well, he was a villain, let's bring him back as a villain. But this idea of like, hey man, some people grow the hell up, right? Some people
yeah,
put that shit behind them.
I got to play the best of both worlds because we see Mike Barnes is now kind of a civilian, and he's smoothed out some of his rough edges. And when when shit hits the fan, we see the bad boy still lives inside of him, and he can summon it when he needs to, which was a lot of fun for me.
I bet. One of the questions that was in the chat was, do you still practice? Do you still practice karate?
I do. I do still practice. I need a lot of practice. You know, I'm not a black belt. I had stopped at one point, and I am working towards it. But I tried a lot of different styles. So I always like to joke that I can get my ass kicked in about 5 styles. But you know, I've kind of had a smattering of a lot of different things. But it's something that I love, and you know, for me, the physical aspect is definitely important, but equally as important, or at least, well, I say equally as important, is the essence of what it means to be involved in martial arts. You know, the confidence, the humility, the empathy,
Structure.
the structure. Yeah, all of that stuff has had a profound effect on my life, and you know, I've used that as the framework for my books. You know, in my books, I'm the sensei. Your students in my dojo, and the chapters are divided into belts, and so yeah, it's had a profound effect on me.
Absolutely. And now we'd be remiss to say you have had I can't even call it a legendary, above a legendary career when it, daytime soap ops, you know, you've done, you know, was it General Hospital and Days of Our Lives, or I'm sorry, not Days of Our Lives, Bold and the Beautiful, Young and the Restless. And one of the questions was, which of those do you miss more?
Well, I'm still on the Bold and Beautiful, so that's you know, I get the honor and pleasure of doing what I love very frequently. Bold and Beautiful is the #1 daytime show in the world. It's syndicated in over 40 countries. And, you know, I still have my show that I created, Studio City on Amazon Prime, and, you know, Cobra Kai. And so I've been busy, which is great. It's funny, I was listening to you read off the statistics of how many shows I've done. And those are actually really, really wrong. Because I've done over 500 shows of General Hospital, and I've probably done 1,500 shows of, yeah, I mean, it's like, and it's crazy. I mean, you know, people ask me, they say, you know, can you remember when your character did this? I'm like, no, I mean, sometimes, yeah, but you know, you do like 2,000 episodes of daytime television, and you know, sometimes I blend the shows together. They'll ask me about what, okay, that wasn't on this show, it was on that show.
Yeah.
But I'm very blessed and fortunate to be able to do what I love consistently.
Yeah, you gotta talk to your people. Someone's got to update the IMDb, the wiki, all that, because
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that
Well,
information
it's
is
not us
out of
that
date.
does it. Yeah, I know, right.
I totally get where you're coming from, because if you said, "Hey, do you remember 8 years ago when you walked across the street and you said hi to that guy?" Like no, who remembers that? Like it's the same thing, you know, when you're doing thousands of these episodes. So that nullifies my next question, was going to be like, you know, based on IMDb, you're like close to getting 1,000 episodes in. We're gonna make the push. You're gonna make it, but
Oh, no,
yeah, I
way
guess.
over that. Yeah.
Now I will say, so I can say this with certainty. You've been doing my God, was it the Bold and the Beautiful? My God, I keep getting all the acronyms mixed up. Almost 23 years. And I was curious because I'm like, man, that's a long time. Since I think it was 2000. One of the shows was 2000. One of them was 2009, something like that.
I think I came on Bold and Beautiful in 2000. Yeah,
Right.
I've been off and on that show half a dozen times, so it's not like I've been on steadily since then. I've left and done a lot of other things and come back, but it really is my home on television, and I love working on the show.
Exactly. And so it made me curious. So I looked up a list of, like longest running, people who've played the same character in a daytime soap. And because I thought, okay, 23, you gotta be up there. I was blown away.
No, not even close.
Yeah.
No. I think the actor who's had the longest running. Do you know who it is?
I do.
I think it's Ken Shiner, who's been on General Hospital since like he was a kid in the 70s.
Yeah, it was like 1967, something along those lines.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, I think the record was like 37 years playing the same character.
Bold and Beautiful, we just had our 35th anniversary this year, and that's not even close to General Hospital, which is having its 60th this year.
It's crazy. I mean, God bless. Like that's such a, I don't
Part of the tapestry of Americana TV, right?
Yeah, it's like with first episodes they were in black and white, right? Like that's how it.
First episodes of General Hospital was a radio show, and then it became black and white with the bad organ music, and then it eventually segued into what you see now.
It's incredible. It's incredible the history and you have such a large, maybe not the largest, but you have such a large, role in that. You know, do you think when all is said and done, because right, everything dies at some point, everything finishes at one point. Is that something you want to look
at me, Ricky Bobby?
Do you want to look fondly? Is it one of those things where you're like, I'm kind of glad to put that one to bed, or is it?
No. It is a fantastic job. I mean, I love the people I work with. A lot of really, really talented actors and crew and producers. It's a pleasure to go to work, and I have the opportunity to go do other things. So it's absolutely like the best of both worlds for me. In 2020, I did back-to-back films with Bruce Willis, and then I did Cobra Kai, and I did a bunch of other stuff in conjunction with Bold and Beautiful. So I mean, I'm a pretty happy guy that way.
Yeah, okay, no complaints. I love it. And the last thing I want to ask about that, soaps, for those who don't watch daytime TV, for me, it feels like, as an outsider, as a viewer, like a whole different style of TV. It's its own genre.
I mean, it is. I mean, first of all, there's very little action in soaps. It's talk. So that's tough. And it's very specifically designed to have cliffhangers so that if you didn't see the show Friday, you're going to figure out what's going on Monday. And here's the thing about it. I've given this a lot of thought. There are a lot of people in this world who watch soap operas that don't have a lot of connection with other people. And for them, they turn this show on and it's longitudinal. They watched it with their mom, and their mom watched it with their grandmother, and they feel like they know these characters, and it's something that's dependable and they can count on, and they're emotionally invested in it. And so, I suppose when I was younger, I was a little more, I don't know, cynical, and I don't want to say negative, but now I really embrace this, and I'm very honored to be a part of this. I mean, gone are the days when you're seeing that crazy stuff where people are getting possessed and aliens. That doesn't happen. Really, it's all based on relationships and emotion and things like that. And as an actor, it's good because you're constantly being given different things to play emotionally. So it's like the gym for your acting. You really get to kind of work some stuff out. So
yeah, it really, I do think it especially nowadays. I hate that frame nowadays, but it holds up a mirror to society, right? What are the issues?
That's interesting. Because we do 5 shows a week, we have the ability to sort of take things that are, sort of ripped out of the headlines, and that are sometimes very important social issues, and deal with them almost in real time on the show. and that's kind of cool. I remember when I was in General Hospital, we did a huge storyline about pediatric AIDS and about adult AIDS too, and it was very powerful, and we wound up raising a lot of money for it. And I remember when I was on Young and the Restless, we had a great storyline with a guy that was a vet coming back from the Iraq War. And so, sometimes you find yourself in these stories that really are kind of important and need to be told. And so I like that.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It really is. Although I harken back to my childhood, those days I was homesick, and you just
Yeah.
flip into demonic possession, or my evil twins triplet body
Right.
snatcher. Like,
Yeah.
it was the closest thing to like a comic book you could
I
get in
think that was,
TV.
I think that stuff is largely, it certainly doesn't happen on our show. Watch, I'll get a script next week where I'm being abducted by a UFO.
Yes.
My twin brother will come back, and then he'll be possessed. That's
Yes.
what I'll get.
I hope so. I hope so. Wait, just one throwback. Just give me that. There's one throwback. But really, the last thing I'll say about it too is that it's the closest thing narratively to like a comic book, because when you think of like, there's 60 years of history for these characters, it can almost be intimidating for someone new to just dive right into it. So it fascinates me in that aspect. I want to switch gears a little bit.
Sure.
2011, you wrote The Modern Gentleman: Cooking and Entertaining with Sean Kanan.
That's correct.
It shares your favorite recipes, but it also took the opportunity to help rebrand men by offering tips on etiquette, manners, and entertaining for special occasions.
Yeah.
What motivated you to write that?
Well, I love to cook. All right. I started cooking in college. I couldn't afford to take girls out to nice restaurants. So I figured if I can cook them a home cooked meal, they're at my place, I'm in pretty good shape. Right. That's, geographic desirability. Right. And so people always told me to open a restaurant. I was like, well, that's about the quickest way for an actor to lose their money, is to open up a restaurant. I said, I'll write a book. It's safer. So the book's a weird book. It's a hybrid. The book really shows guys how to be better versions of themselves. And I think that's where my love of personal development really started. And it gives women a bit of a front row seat, pulling back the curtain on how guys think. And so intermixed with the recipes and how to set up your kitchen and wine and history and all that, there are chapters like The Modern Gentleman Defends Himself, and I talk about how martial arts has been important in my life. The Modern Gentleman Learns a Foreign Language, and I talk about how studying foreign languages has made a huge impact on my life. And so it even has crazy topics like about sexting, like it's like, if you're going to do it, there's an etiquette to doing it, so you're not a creep, you know what I mean? How do you wind up, connecting with someone, being sexy, but not like getting put on the, sex offender registry. So it's got my voice. It's cheeky. It's funny. It's a little, sarcastic, all that stuff. It's not just like a goofy celebrity cookbook. I love this book, and I definitely, it's a great book for young guys, maybe just, getting out of the house for the first time, kind of looking to up their game. It's a great book for women to get a little perspective on how men think. And I think it's funny, I was talking to my wife about it. I think we're going to put it back out too. You can get it on Amazon, but I think we're going to be redesigning the cover, kind of giving it a fresh overhaul and putting it out, because I really think that there's a lot of the information in it is not so dissimilar from what I talk about in Way of the Cobra and Welcome to the Kumite.
Yeah, I mean, there's no better time. I mean, I respect the fact that you wrote these things, because, for instance, let's say something like sexting. Where do you learn it from, right? Where do you pick it up from? Where do you learn what's right or wrong? So
maybe asking your mother. So, you could ask somebody, right?
So I think that's great to be like, you know what? If nobody's going to carry the torch, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll put it out there.
Who better to learn about sexting than from the bad boy of karate, right?
Exactly. So in 2019, you co-wrote Success Factor X.
Yeah.
And that one it's a collaboration. You have a group of high achievers like entrepreneur Mark Cuban, hip hop icons Run DMC. How did that book come about? Like how does that happen?
I had a friend who was an author, and she and I wanted to do something together, and we were batting around ideas. And again, my fascination with sort of the science of success led me to an idea where I said, what if we just ask 50 really successful people what success means to them, and from all different backgrounds. And then won't it be interesting to see what the common denominators are? So you take a guy who, Larry Walker, who's a Hall of Fame baseball player, and you take Darryl McDaniels, founding member of Run DMC, and Mark Cuban. Ostensibly, they don't have a tremendous amount in common other than the fact that they're very successful, wealthy, etc. But you start seeing that a lot of these individuals do the same things to achieve their success. And it made me think of something that my acting teacher said to me years and years ago. He said, I've got more in common with a successful plumber than I have with an unsuccessful acting coach. And I kind of pondered that, and I realized that in life, whether you're a soldier, whether you're, whatever you do, there's certain benchmark things that you have to do if you're going to be successful. And I think the very first thing is that you must act with character. Character's everything. Integrity is everything. You can be really talented, but if you don't have character, you're going to be hard pressed to achieve success that's lasting. And if you have talent, but you don't hustle and you don't grind, then you know what? Hustle will beat talent when talent's lazy. You know what I mean? So there's certain things that you have to do. You have to, do what you say what you mean. Go out of your way to help people. Bring value to every situation. One of the things that almost to an individual, all of these people said when asked what one of the greatest things about being successful is and what one of the secrets of their success is, they said, it's my ability to help other people become successful. And for me, I find that one of the quickest ways to get what I want in life and be successful is to help other people achieve their dreams without any ulterior motive.
That man, oh God, preaching to the choir. Oh,
are we getting too dark here? The sun just went down, and I'm noticing. You want me to turn the light on?
It's a little dim. It's a little bit.
Turn the light on.
Go for it. While you're doing that, people, please, listen to the man. This guy is spouting the gospel from up on high. We don't know each other, but I live by almost all the tenets you're talking about and doing for others. It is so true. I help teach veterans stand-up comedy, and wow. You see these guys that are so talented. You're like, if you tried a tiny bit, you would explode but the laziness. And then you got the guys that they get the concepts, but they grind and they try and they hustle and they go out and they have.
You get better. You get better. You know, I mean, you might not. You might not be able to teach somebody to be great. Okay, I do believe that there is a certain something that people that are creatives and artists and performers, you got to have at least the embryonic flash of electricity to build on, but you can learn things and become better, especially in comedy. You know what I mean? There is something to be said for going out and just bombing, but grinding through it and knowing what that feels like, knowing you don't want to do it again, knowing that you can handle it if it happens. You know what I mean? Going back to the beat lab and tuning it up. But I was going to tell you, before you guys think that I'm like levitating on some mountain in Kathmandu, 3 feet above the ground, contemplating my navel, I have made every mistake in the books that I wrote 12 times. That's, what is the thing about, why is the devil so smart? It's because he's so damn old. You know what I mean? He knows that's what it is. So, for me, if I can help my readers avoid some of the well-worn pitfalls and traps along the way, but still getting them to do the work so that experientially they're growing. That's what it's all about,
Mm.
you know? And so, at this point, I'm going to do the gratuitous plug. If you do want to get either of the books, you can get them at wayofthecobra.com. And ladies and gentlemen, I ship all over the world. So no excuse not to get it. And I will get it out to you. And I'll tell you what, nothing would make me feel better than knowing that I'm able to bring a little bit of joy and happiness and help all of you make your lives better, because you do so damn much for all of us.
So true. One question was, is it available on Audible?
It is not available on Audible yet. I will tell you why. I recorded, Sean decided that he was going to be his own sound engineer. Not so much. So I spent days recording this thing, and I'm like, it sucks. There's noise everywhere. So I got really frustrated, and I said, rather than try and do it again, I'm going to put it away, and I'm going to write the second book. So I wrote the second book instead. But one of my goals this year, and I still have time, is that I'm going to get the audio book for both Way of the Cobra and Welcome to the Kumite out. You can get Way of the Cobra on Amazon, also as an ebook, but you can only get the sequel, Welcome to the Kumite, at wayofthecobra.com.
Yes, absolutely. If you don't write a book, maybe the third in the series, I don't know, of these awesome proverbs you have, I've loved every single one of them. You need to do this, like this ancient proverb book, maybe modern day version of it.
Yeah.
The 2 cell phones is better than 1. I don't know, whatever it is. You got to do that because it's so incredible. My God, there's so much, and we're running out of time. Do you ever? I can't imagine you have free time, but do you ever do convention appearances or anything like that?
I do a lot of them, as a matter of fact. I will be at a convention in Ontario, California. I believe it's May 21st. I'm checking to see what this damn thing is called. Comic-Con.
There's so many.
It is called Comic-Con Revolution, Saturday, May 20th through Sunday, May 21st. And that's in Ontario, California. I'll be at Terrificon in Unksville, Connecticut at the Mohegan Sun, and that's July 29th, 30, and 31st. I'll be there. So I just got back from doing one in Dubai. That was crazy. So I do a lot of those. It just sort of depends on what my shooting schedule is.
Sure. I'm curious because I'm a diehard convention goer. I love going to conventions.
Yeah.
The only place I like big crowds. It's just such a good environment. What has been, and I know there has to be, what's been your craziest fan interaction?
One time, many years ago, when I was on General Hospital, so that would have been like the mid-90s, this large guy came up to the table and he put a hunting suit down on the table with bullet holes in it, and he goes, "I made this just for you." And security was like, "Leaving, what a good idea." So that was a little weird. That was definitely odd. Most people are really nice. I'm also, I'm a pretty good amateur psychologist, and when push comes to shove, I can take care of myself too. So, I try and kill them with kindness, and I fortunately haven't. I don't have too many I have more great stories by a geometric component than bad ones.
I think that's a great thing. I think that's a testament to who you are. Sometimes crazy attracts crazy, and so a good man will attract positivity and good people. And
another thing I talk about in the book, the law of vibration. Everything vibrates. What you put out there, the universe thinks you want more of. If you put out there negativity and I'm broke all the time and the universe is against me, you get more of it. You put out there that you live in a world of abundance and love and that stuff, you get more of it.
I'm gonna clip so many pieces of this and send it to people that really need to hear it because my God, we're in simpatico.
Do that. Get the book and send it to them.
There you go. We're gonna get a couple copies of the book and we're gonna send it. Let me ask you, because we're running out of time and I don't want to hold you any longer than I have to. What and because of who you are and your energy, and I can feel it, I want to ask you this. We live in a day and age where social media and technology allows us to literally reach into each other's lives. You work in an industry where you literally put your physical likeness out there. You make yourself available to the public. How do you handle, because fucking we all know with the anonymity of the internet, there's a lot of bad people. But how do you handle all that criticism and like how do you handle the social media aspect?
It's so funny you say that, Mike, because it doesn't happen a lot. I'm fiercely apolitical on social media because you're not going to change anyone's opinion. You're not. They want confirmation bias and they want to hear whatever it is that they think anyway. So what am I going to do? I'm going to alienate 50% of the people who watch my show. I don't do that. But today, I had somebody who was really going after me for something that really had nothing to do with me. And I said, hey, listen, I said, I'm not, if you're looking to be offended, you're going to find being offended real easily in this life. I'm not trying to offend anybody, and I'm not trying to start some little Twitter war with you, but, don't come at me like that. And it's amazing. I just sort of sit back and my wonderful Twitter minions devour them. And, but I don't look for it. I mean, this is part and parcel of people in our society being, we have such a tribalism, and people want to identify with different groups and they want to be offended. And, being a victim in the early stages has some very positive things. You find other people who are victims. Sometimes you get some sympathy, but in the beginning, it can be attractive to people, but it's really just kind of a go nowhere mentality. And I shut it down. I'm like, I'm not buying into it and feeding into it and I got way more important things to do than that.
Wow. Man, oh God. Is it wrong to say I love you? Is that weird?
I love you.
Is that weird? We got one guy that's saying you need to come out to Texas, the conventions. He goes, there's too many conventions.
I did. I actually went to 2 conventions in Texas in 1 week, which was so surreal. I love Texas because I went down and did Walker, Texas Ranger, when I was a young actor. And I really love Texas, and I love Texans too.
Yeah.
They are true Americans. I was in Bell County. I was at the Bell County Comic-Con, and I was at some other one outside of Austin. And I'm sure I'd love to come down to Texas again.
There you go. Last question before we let you go. Okay. Right? We live in it. Marvel movies huge. MCU, DCU, all these are huge. Yeah. Are we ever gonna get you? I want to see you in a suit, man. I want to see you in a super suit.
Dude, I would throw on some leotard. Sure, yeah. I mean, I would. Yeah, I'd love that, man. Who wouldn't want to be a superhero, right? God, that would be.
Would you, if given the choice, would you rather the hero or the villain?
Well, honestly, that's a tough one, but I'm gonna go with the hero because they tend to be in the sequels a lot more.
Yes, that is a practical answer. I love it. I love it. Also, just want to shout out you have a website that's great. Yeah. People can get prints and autographs and all the books, all the stuff. You wanna plug it?
Yeah. You can get my books and everything at waythecobra.com. And so I've got a Way of the Cobra Instagram. I'm really trying to build this. Monday through Friday, I try and put out really positive, motivational, inspirational stuff. It's Way of the Cobra on Instagram. If you guys and girls would follow it, I would be really appreciative. And you can follow me, my personal one on Instagram, which is Sean.Kanan. And I always feel like a douchebag saying this, but it's got the blue check mark. And the reason I say that is because you'd be amazed how many people just love to kind of impersonate other people. And, my mother's calling me up going, is this you trying to sell me protein powder? And I'm like, no, Mom, it's not. You want to buy some? But I mean, so anyway, Sean Kanan, and then the other one is Way of the Cobra. And I'm also on Twitter at Sean Kanan, and I keep my DMs on. I do my best to try and answer everybody. And I just want to say one more time, thank you all so much for your bravery, your heroism, your dedication. Thank you for providing the blanket of security that too many of us take for granted. You are all heroes, and I'm honored just to have the opportunity to talk to all of you.
Oh, this has been phenomenal. One of the all-time best ever. Like I said, I'm clipping all of this, and anytime I'm feeling blue, anytime I'm down, I'm gonna play these clips. I'm gonna get hyped. Somebody in the chat, by the way, said Wonder Man for sure. If you don't know the character, look him up. They're fan casting you already.
All right.
So you're getting that. But
Mike, you have my email, Mike. Don't be a stranger.
Don't you ain't gotta tell me twice. No, this was absolutely fantastic. I hope we can sit down again in the future, and
I would love that.
You have such an incredible career, both on TV and film and theater and the books and the comic. There's so much we could talk about for hours, but I want to respect your time, man. This has been truly incredible. I thank you so much. The audience thanks you.
Again, okay?
Absolutely. Right. Part 2 coming soon. All right, guys. I'm gonna toss it to a break and say goodbye to Sean, and then we'll be back with more right after this. Shuts.
You're listening to the sounds of WTF Nation Radio.
Hey, you there? Yeah, it is right, you. Let me ask you something, right? Where the hell do you think that you're going? Oh, would you think because the show's going to commercial that means you get to just walk away? Well, CQ asked me to pass on the little message, alright? And it says, I'll be back.
After all I've done, do you love me now? Do you love me now? After all I've said, running through your head, do you love me now? Do you love me told you everything, I bet you cry and run away. 'Cause with all the lies I keep, made you believe this was me. The truth is I am not at all who I preach myself to be. And I deserve to be alone, and I'm alone here with me.
Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. Oh my God, how awesome was Sean Kanan? Oh man. I'm like, I got chills. I got goosebumps. I'm not joking. I've got goosebumps. And everything he said, so powerful, so true, incredible. Heath, thank you for being honest. He says, I didn't have high expectations for the guest, but I put him in the top 5 at least. Very good. God bless, man. You know, it really just like I'm speechless because I try not to you guys know me. I try not to preach. I try not to put my own beliefs. But I do believe in putting positive out into the world. I do believe in just helping those when you can, when you're in the in the position to help others, to help. I don't whatever my personal beliefs are as far as political or religious or whatever it is. That's I don't need to preach that. That's for me. We live in this world where everybody's like, well, you need to know how I feel about it. Like, no, like that's you, and you that's for you. That makes you happy. It makes you that's you. Just be good. Follow all the good teachings. Be kind. Be loving, and all that. So, and what a great guy. What an absolute great guy. And we were talking on the side. I'm gonna secure up some books, some signed headshots, the whole thing. Next giveaway we do, we're just gonna like give them out to the fans. I don't know. I've been thinking of maybe doing something like, because I put the interviews out on YouTube. If you go to youtube.com/popculturewarrior, you'll see all the interviews that stand alone. And maybe doing some type of like for his video specifically, like, you go like his video when it's out, which will be on Sunday. You like it, and then like after a week, I'll randomly pick 4 of the likes, and or comment on it, because I don't think I can see who likes it. I think it just says a number. So maybe comment on the video, and then I'll pick like whatever 4 at random, and they'll win a signed copy of the book, signed headshot, all that stuff. So we'll figure it out. We got a couple days to figure that out. Keith says, I want to thank Sean for helping to make my mom's afternoons go well on all of her soaps. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. I think you guys are yes, Keith. I think you guys are about to go to the garage and practice karate and build a bunk bed. Great Step Brothers reference. And yes, I would totally. I think me and Sean are best friends now. I really think that we're best friends now. And we're in. Did we just become best friends? Yup. Oh man. Oh God, I'm giddy. That was fun. That was a great conversation, man. Sean Kanan, incredible actor. I mean, someone so positive and uplifting and good of heart, who does so much. Let me tell you, this guy's schedule is so jam-packed, and he is so busy. For him to take an hour and sit here and talk with us, I'm blown away. I'm blown away. And we had to move the date for the interview a couple times just because he's you see it. He's in like 7 different shows, and then does conventions, and then does, writing, and then does comedy, and like, who has the time? And then while still maintaining just being an all-around good guy and humble guy, and someone who's willing to take an hour to sit on this show, for God's sakes, there's not many people like him. So couldn't be happier. And I don't want to talk about anything else, because I just want to end on that high note. I really do. I think that was so good. Stay tuned. We have more amazing stuff coming very soon. I hesitate to say who our guest is next week. I hesitate. Only because he has confirmed this week that he'll be here next week, but much like Sean Kanan, I keep wanting to say Kanan. much like Sean Kanan, this is an incredibly busy guy who's on a multitude of shows, in a multitude of movies. Maybe not the household name, but definitely a household face. You will see him. You will know him. It is John Carroll Lynch. I should have had a picture ready. I don't, but you can Google it after the fact. Sean Kanan already came on. John Carroll Lynch will be on the show next week. God willing, nothing comes up between now and then. God willing, he'll be on the show next week. I mean, you've seen him in romantic comedies like, Crazy Stupid Love? He was the father of the girl who was in love with Steve Carell's character. You've seen him in American Horror Story as like that killer clown thing. I mean, he's the list of things this guy's been on is redonkulous, and you don't want to miss this one. I can easily say we have rescheduled this conversation 7 times. I want to say 7 times. But that's because he really wants to be here. And he's very busy. This is what it boils down to. He really wants to do it. Anybody else would have been like, you know what, screw it. We tried, it didn't work, and moved on. But he really wants to come on. He really wants to talk to all of you. And that's gonna be, oh man, I'm so excited for that one. I mean, we are just getting so lucky to have some truly, truly, truly incredible guests. And then we've got more guests right down the pipe behind that. Scott wants to know, is he your most rescheduled guest? I mean, technically, yes. I've had other people that were like, yeah, we'll do it. And then like we're circling around a date and then ghosted, and then like they'll circle back like, hey, sorry, we were off on a movie, and we're like, yeah, let's do it, and then we're circling around a date. So like I've had people close as many times, but as far as like a guy who we had a date and then rescheduled, usually like a week before or 2 weeks before, and then had a date and then scheduled a week before, 2 weeks, rescheduled 2 weeks, he's probably the most rescheduled, yes, in that sense, in that we've had dates. And again, nothing against him, nothing against his people. He's an incredibly busy guy who when you're that kind of an actor, you get a call and it's like, hey, you got to be on set next week. We need you for this, and so we were respectful of his time and respectful of his work ethic, and hopefully this is the one. Outside of that, I got a couple more guests coming up after that. Should I talk about it? Questioning. Let me ask you. We've confirmed 2 people, but they're a little bit out for various reasons, for different booking reasons. Do you guys want to be surprised down the road? And when I say down the road, I mean like 2 or 3 months. I'm not talking years from now, but like 2 or 3 months. Do you guys rather be surprised, or do you want to know about it now and just have that anticipation? Peter says, is this a rumor that you got Tom Cruise? Dude, if I had Tom Cruise, y'all would have known about it. I would have tweeted it. I would have added it. I would have. Yeah, you'll know if I get Tom Cruise. I don't care if it's like we don't have a date. I'm just talking to his people. Yeah, we're never gonna get Tom Cruise. It looks like 3 votes for Tell. Okay. There you go. That way you can plan ahead. Sure. All right. So the 2 guests that we recently confirmed, who I'm huge fans of, and I think are well worthy of the oh shit, there's actually 3. One of them I'm going to keep a surprise because it's pre-recorded. We've already done the recording, and something comes up that I want it to be a surprise. So that one's going to maintain a surprise for now. But that one you won't have to wait long for because that'll be like April 4th. But April 18th, live here in the show. We had a video recently that kind of blew up on WTF Moments and WTF Nation Radio. It was a clip of a certain comedian talking about his experience going to Afghanistan and performing the troops. The comedian being Brad Williams, little dude, comic. If you didn't see that video, it went like crazy popular on our thing and got like 3 million views or something like that. And that made me think, why don't I reach out to him and say, what's up, man? You want to come on the show? And wouldn't you know it, got back to me immediately and said, let's do it. So we've been trying to iron out a date, and lo and behold, I find out, well, shit, he's going to be performing at my local comedy show, where I've performed comedy, the DC Improv. He'll be performing April 27th through the 29th, something like that. So A, I bought tickets. I'm going to that show. And B, I told him, well, why don't you come on the show beforehand and we can promote it and we can talk about it, whatnot. So April 18th, we're going to have comedian Brad Williams joining us here. Very, very excited. And then a little bit further down the road, and there's a reason why it's so far down the road, May 23rd, we're going to have legendary actor Joe Mantegna, not quarterback Joe Montana, actor Joe Mantegna is going to be joining us. That one will probably be a pre-record just because of the craziness of his schedule, but that'll be the date it's airing, May 23rd. And that is because he hosts a Memorial Day concert, I guess is the best word for it. Huge event right there. I think it's like on the steps of Congress or near the center, somewhere out there in DC. He hosts this big concert event every year. And so he's going to come on the show to promote it. And obviously we'll talk about his career and all the decades he's been acting and in such a huge, not Deathstroke. You're thinking of Joe Manganiello. No, the older actor, much older. Let you look it up. Joe Mantegna. Again, I should have had picture. Like, I didn't plan on spilling the beans, so this is all your fault for making me spill it. But yeah, so huge opportunities for us to speak with some really big stars, and it's only the beginning. It's only the beginning. Those are just people that we have set. Those are dates that are, for now, locked in, or at least very penciled in. I will say penciled in. Those are, I still have people on the hook that they're just trying to figure out dates. So, and keep sending in your ideas. Keep sending in your ideas, because a lot of the people that I reach out to are ideas from Sean Kanan. Was an idea. Somebody said, why don't you reach out to the people at Cobra Kai? And so I did. And, everybody said no, except him. And also the guy that plays Sensei Kreese, but he's one of those that we're still trying to figure out scheduling, because he's like traveling the country and doing a bunch of things. So we'll get around to him. But so a lot of the ideas I get. Yes, Angry Elf, the guy from Criminal Minds. That is correct. That's Joe Mantegna. All right. Yes, he was the funny radio DJ in Airheads with Oscar winner Brendan Fraser. Scott, don't judge my process. He goes, how does this work? You just like do a blanket invitation and one just happens to say yes? Listen, don't judge my process. If you're here and watching, don't judge me. All right? How I get guests. Dude, I'll tell you flat out, I'll try every method known to man. I will tweet at them. I will email them. I'll email their fan club. I'll call their manager and their agents and their public, like whatever it takes. I will try. And yeah, sometimes it's just going down you go up on IMDb, you find a show that you like Cobra Kai, and then you just go down the cast one by one and try to find them. So thank you guys for tuning in. This has been an absolute blast. You guys are awesome. This has been great. Sean Kanan was incredible. Probably one of my favorite interviews. Just from a human to human. One of the just greats. One of the all-time greats. I couldn't be happier. So thank you guys so much for tuning in another week. Hope you enjoyed the Cobra Kai colors. I had to throw it up there just to shout out our incredible guest. And, we'll be, I don't know what we're going to do next week. We'll figure out something. That guy's been in so much shit. I don't even know. We'll just go traditional. But all right, go back to red, white, and blue. Guys, this has been incredible. I appreciate y'all so much. With that, I'm going to bid a fond farewell, adieu. And you guys have been... thank you for tuning in to Pop Culture Warrior. Thank you for tuning in to WTF Nation Radio and U.S. Army WTF Moments. Here's a quick lineup of all the shows we have around the station. We have starting Sunday nights is the Sports Bar. If you can't put two and two together about what they talk about, I can't do nothing for you. Mondays is the Monday edition. That's where we do news, commentary, discussions, all about what's happening in the world. And obviously that brings you to Tuesdays right here, Pop Culture Warrior Live every Tuesday night, bringing you all the latest and greatest in what's happening in pop culture. Wednesdays are fun. That's the smoke pit. For all you military folk out there, you know what the E4 Mafia is. That's where they all congregate and have some silly fun. Thursdays is Sergeant's Time, where we talk all big Army stuff, all that NCO Creed nonsense. And Fridays closes out the week with Friday Night Freedom, which is just a cool place to hang out, shoot the shit, see great conversations with amazing organizations, bands, you name it, they cover it. It's a good time. With that, guys, what are you saying, Scott? I wonder how many guests were blackmailed. How much dirt did we... That's none of your business who we blackmailed to come on the show and what we had on them. None of your business. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Once again, check out Pop Culture Warrior on YouTube. It's where all the interviews go. We're on all the social medias from Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube and TikTok. And if you want some cool gear, like a CQ hat or a Pop Culture Warrior shirt or any of the dozen other stuff, and I've got new designs coming out every week, go to PCWgear.com, and you'll find some really, really cool, unique Pop Culture Warrior designs. I've got the traditional, and then I said, you know what, screw it. I'm doing some crazy, crazy designs, and each week they're going to get wilder and wilder. So check it out and see what you like. And there's also a Patreon if you want to support the channel. And, I need bribe money to get guests on. So if you want to support the channel and get me some bribe money to get bigger and better guests, patreon.com/popculturewarrior. That's how you do it. All right, guys. It's been real. We'll see you next week. Shots.
Doc! Oh, no! We're too late! We missed it! Oh, jeez, this is heavy. Wait a minute. Doc, I got a time machine. I'm just gonna punch in the coordinates. Pop Culture Warrior, Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on WTF Nation Radio. Now crank this bad boy up to 88 miles per hour.
Let's see it.